The death of... Yeah, I guess it doesn't even matter that I bleeped that out because it's on the freaking cover. So, yes, spoilers! Today I'm going to be talking about Captain America, The Death of Captain America Omnibus from Marvel Comics. This is the new printing, so let's check it out together. Welcome back, everybody. Before getting started, a huge thank you to David Gabriel, the folks at Marvel, for sending us an advance copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market on August 4th, and then a few weeks later in the book market. So, direct market, for the first time, we'll have a variant cover. And Marvel was kind enough, and I'll show it off here in a little bit, to send us both covers. So this is the standard edition cover, the original one from Steve Epting, and then this is your direct market cover. And both of them, for those wondering, do have a different spine as well. So speaking of spine, you're probably thinking this is thin. Well, yeah, it is, but so is the original. Here, let's do a comparison to the original printing. This is my original printing from 2009. Covers are identical, of course. Now we have a direct market cover. Let's look at the spines. The original one was thin enough to begin with. This one is a little bit thinner, and that's probably got to do with the paper quality that they used in this one. It's a little bit thinner. It's from the iMac printer, where this was printed at the Donnelly printer. Captain America's image is a lot bigger here. Not a lot, I'm sorry. It is bigger, though. You have the last names of the creators, whereas you have the first names and last names in this original printing. And, yeah, honestly, I mean, it is thinner, but not that much thinner, because the original one was thin enough to begin with. Here's the back of the books. The font at the top is a little bit different than the font on the original printing. I have to cover this up because it spoils something that happens in the book. Here's all the covers, and of course what it collects. Looks like the ISBN is smaller than the original version. The price of the original printing from 2009 was $64.99. This new printing is $75. Under the dust jacket, we are going to see some differences because the first printing was printed in 2009 when they were doing this fake leather look, almost like the Marvel Masterworks. So now we have images on the book, and there's art on the front board and the back board. So you do get the direct market cover on the back board in case you got the standard edition cover. So both covers are on the book. Now, let's get the new book open and talk a little bit about the book without going into spoilers territory, with the exception of, well, you know, the title. Captain America, The Death of Captain America. Here we go. So, we got some red bookend pages. Very dramatic. The Death of Captain America. Here are all the credits. The writer, Ed Brubaker. The artist, and mainly that would be Steve Epting, Mike Perkins, Butch Guice, and Luke Ross. Steve Epting just doing the work of his life in this particular volume, in Ed Brubaker's run. But really the person that brings it all together is the colorist, Frank D'Armata. His colors brings all four artists, just their artwork together, and puts it in a nice package. Of course, along with Ed Brubaker's dialogue. So we kick it off with issue 25, and this collects issues 25 to 42 of Captain America. So this follows directly what happens in the events of Captain America by Ed Brubaker Omnibus Volume 1. With one exception, a very rare exception, and that is that this particular omnibus also collects Captain America 25. Because Captain America 25 was already collected in the first omnibus. I think they were still new to making Omni, so I'm sure mapping had a lot to do with it. And of course the title had a lot to do with this. The title of the book is called The Death of Captain America. You have to include it in here in case people didn't buy the first omnibus. Now, one of the biggest questions I'm sure I'm going to get is, hey, do I need to read the Civil War story before going into it? Because I don't think you do. There is no prerequisite reading other than Captain America by Ed Brubaker Volume 1. I think this does a really good job of kind of catching you up with what happened in the events of Civil War. It was a 7-issue event. All you need to really know is that Steve Rogers and Tony Stark fought. They weren't seeing eye to eye. In the end, Captain America's arrested, which leads to the events here in issue 25. So how he gets killed, Steve Rogers that is, well, you can find out for yourself because it's a whole mystery and it's a whole whodunit kind of thing. And then it's the aftermath, the wonderful aftermath that really sets up this amazing comic run. Oh, it's so good. I think this, to me, is just as good as Winter Soldier. But hey, that's not here to review the book. So really, it's the remaining loved ones. You got Sam Wilson. You've got the newly returned Bucky Barnes. You've got Nick Fury. You've got Tony Stark. You've got Sharon Carter. You've got Natasha Romanoff. All dealing with the death of Steve Rogers. He was a legend. How do you kill a legend? Well, you can find out for yourself exactly how that happens. And does Steve Rogers ever get to come back? Maybe. But just showcasing what this wonderful artwork looks like. And there's going to be people at odds with each other too. Winter Soldier does not trust Tony Stark. He blames Tony Stark, and he's not the only one. There's a lot of people pointing fingers at Tony because they're blaming him for the death of Steve Rogers. They think a lot of it had to do with him because he created the whole Civil War thing. Whether you lean towards Captain America's side or Tony Stark, who, by the way, is now a newly appointed director of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's in his own comic book, which is a very underrated run, by the way. But he's here as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. So that is important to note. So, yes, a beautiful flashback artwork, wonderful, phenomenal storytelling, strong storytelling, compelling storytelling that will make you just read the book cover to cover. So since this is not really a review of the story, and I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts, I do that from time to time, this is more of a review of the book. So this new printing, like I said, does have thinner paper. It's not as thin as, say, something like the Kurt Busiek Conan Omnibus, which, in case you don't have that, it's not as thin as the Defenders Omnibus, the volume 1. But it is still printed at the iMac printer. So a lot of the fears that people have is when you turn a page, like what happens, do the pages get wrinkled up? And I mean, I haven't had that happen, not that I've read the whole thing. I just read about the first story arc, because I love that story. The only thing that I will say is that when you're dealing with a lot of white colors, you're going to see some of the artwork on the opposite page. And for this book, though, there's hardly really any whites being used. I say that with the next title here being White Lies. Because it's a dark story. It has this dark tone to it. For the most part, this is one of the rare cases that you'll see this much white. And it's not that distracting, and I know it doesn't bother some people. Some people don't care at all, but it does bother some people out there, and I just wanted to point that out. Now you're probably wondering, wait a minute, if Steve Rogers is dead, how can Captain America continue? Well, that, of course, is answered in this very omnibus. We do have a new Captain America. But who's behind the mask? Well, you can find out for yourself by reading the book. All I'm here to say is that there is somebody under that mask that is taking the mantle of Captain America and fighting for what they believe is right. Now, let's look in the back here for some extras. So the book has 464 pages, again retailing for $75. Here we have some variant covers. By the way, the new costume of whoever is behind the mask, or behind the shield rather, was designed by Alex Ross. So I think some of the sketches, I know they were in the original one, are in here. So, I mean, the page count is identical to the first one. We have some original artwork here from Steve Epting, like I said, I think doing the work of his life. We have articles, for an interview with Ed Brubaker. We do have some of the script in here. And yes, here we go. This is the preliminary Captain America designs. And see what I mean when there's a bunch of white colors? You can kind of see some of the artwork from the opposite page. Now again, always like to remind people about my two big bright lights shining on the book so there's less shadows. I don't think most people read books like that. I would hope not. I don't think most people need that much lighting. Again, this is the final design. Here's the interview. I think this is drawn by Mike Perkins, but it is written by Ed Brubaker. And then I can't show what else is back there because it spoils something big. So, who killed Captain America? Does Steve Rogers ever come back? Who's behind the shield? You can find all that out by reading this book. Let's talk about this binding. Alright, here's the new printing. Not that much of an eye. Of course, we're talking about 464 pages, but it would have been nice just to see a little bit of a curve on that inner spine. Alright, one of my favorite things to do is, of course, the comparison. That is, if I have the original printing. So we have Death of Captain America there. Nothing really different until we get here, where it looks like they've swapped the pages. So on the new printing being here at the bottom, the picture of Captain America by Steve Epting is now on the left, and the credits are on the right, where it's the opposite up on the original printing. Showcasing the differences in the way that the books lay over the original printing, having a nice curve. And honestly, I was going to say, this book really doesn't have hardly any spread pages. I think I can think of one or two, and they're both spoilers, so I can't do a proper comparison, but I did want to show how they both laid over. As far as the color differences, this one feels like it's a little crisper, where that one has like a brownish tone to it. The newer printing has a more clear and crisp finish to the colors. I don't think very many people would even care, but that is something I just noticed. I do like the newer finish on the colors of the new printing. Just showcasing some more artwork. Let's look at what the white colors look like on both editions. New edition at the bottom, original printing up at the top, and we're going to do it this way where you can get a better idea of the differences in the white tones that they use for both books. As you can tell, because of the thicker paper that they used in the original printing, keep in mind, again, that was 2009, and we're talking about more than a decade later, that the paper quality is thicker, so the other colors from the opposite page don't really come through. Just something that I wanted to point out for people, and just showcasing some action sequences. So I will say this about my original first printing, and I could be alone, but I do know that my glue was starting to crack a couple of years ago, and it could be because they don't use that glue anymore. So it was something that I had to buy some more PVA glue and fix. I don't know if anybody else had to deal with that, but like I said, I may be alone. It was just my copy. So that is something to keep in mind. I think, you know, the older books, they're thicker paper, the binds are better sometimes, not all the times. But over time, that glue, the old glue they used to use on these books, begins to crack, so you might put a little more PVA, or hell, I mean, if you got the money, you know, I'm sure you might just upgrade to the newer printing. Who am I to tell you what to do with your money? And then the back with the variant covers. So really no difference at all in the color tones. But in this, you can tell just a little bit about that brownish tone I was talking about that they use, whereas this is more clear and crisp down here. And I completely forgot about those Marvel Apes variants. The font that they are using, though, is different than the fonts that they used up there. And honestly, they give credit now to the artist, whereas before, I think they just gave credit to Alex Ross and not the director's cut cover here. So, that's it. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsor, CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online source for collected editions up to 50% off retail price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on excellent packaging, so your stuff gets to you in excellent condition, and they have amazing customer service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And for all you Minties that are watching, if you're a first-time customer, don't forget to mention that Near Mint Condition sent you their way for a promotional credit on free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your source for the hottest books with deep discounts, customer service, and excellent shipping that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and the build, and of course the comparison to the original printing of The Death of Captain America Omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you're looking forward to this book, if you already have the Omnibus, or if this is going to be your first time reading this amazing run on Captain America. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. If you have any more questions, leave them down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We are on Patreon and on Spreadshop. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. More importantly, everyone, please stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.